Okay.
Beautiful. Stop it. Shut up. You're both beautiful.
I was so busy this last week, I didn't even get a chance to buy a microphone, so I'm still on my phone for this week, but I will next week.
Oh, good. I'm just happy that you're
I was
in the
fucking
computer world
working.
now, because now you can actually like your writing game
Help
is
with the tech
gonna,
shit.
you know.
Oh
well,
yeah,
also,
my rating game, yeah.
Yeah, your writing game is really gonna just take off.
I'm gonna be writing a book called Arcanum Divinorum.
I really wanna
Noise.
keep talking with our some members of our kindred.
Yeah.
We really want to start a publishing company. Really think it might be a cool idea, especially
Well,
for
let's pop this bad boy episode up and let's talk about it.
Yeah, I don't want to reveal too many details because I don't want anyone taking my.
Okay.
But no, we had toyed around. It has a great name that I won't share here. But yeah.
Are we live?
Yeah, we're live. Yeah, we had kind of toyed around with a publishing company idea. Yeah, so we're here and we're all very queer.
We're queer.
And very tired.
Yo, very tired.
So yeah, so we walked like, a few miles plus yesterday.
3 of these queers walked 2 miles for y'all rights yesterday, and my butt is sore.
Us
happy hot girl brat protest summer.
Yes.
I feel
yeah, we were at No Kings.
You go, Scott.
Yeah, go for it.
I was just gonna say, yeah, we were at No Kings and it was great. It went off really well here. Unfortunately, there were other places. I feel really bad for our friends in Salt Lake City. They did not have as much of an easier time. There were other places too that had some run-ins with violent, violent fascist trash. As they are, because they only know the language of violence, and that's the only language that they seem to know. Because they don't know how to be intelligent. They don't know how to read. They don't understand history. They don't understand nuance. Instead, they'd rather shoot people in the head. In case it's not clear, I'm not only tired, I'm angry, I'm happy, I'm, I did a wonderful reading the night before the protest, and I stand by my reading. My reading came out it was sort of, it's exactly what change always is. Change is always a heavy burden to bear. And you can only let it go when you finally get to your destination, right? It's once it's finally been through the process, the change that's coming yesterday, it did something, right? It was a big help. There were a lot of people. I'm hearing numbers ranging, and I don't know exactly which is true, but most likely it lies somewhere in the middle between 5 million, and this is a big jump, but I've also heard 12.1 in more recent numbers as of like today. So
I was just going to say worldwide, and this is from the Alternative Park and National Park Services, and basically what they do is they compile crowd estimations along with a lot of other data that they compile over the course of the day when any protest goes on. And they had reported as of 2 hours ago that worldwide 12.1 million people did protest. And that is 3.5% of our population, which is a very, very important number, because no movement in the history of the United States, the world, no protest, no movement that has had more than 3.5% has failed. It has performed some type of progressive action. The only other protests that have been bigger than this protest are literally the George Floyd protests and the anti-war protests of 1970.
Right.
And I just want to say that real quick, the numbers also support the fact that most of the people who we're arguing with online are not actually people, they're bot farms. And when you look at people actually out there in the streets engaging with shit, the vast majority of America is actually far further left than people want to admit, but it's been astroturfed, and you don't have proper media representation of any left points, nor do you have any political representation because the Democrats constantly sell you out. So people are really starting to realize America's far, far, far further to the left than everybody's been gaslighting y'all into thinking it is, because guess what? Nobody wants to lose their SNAP. Nobody wants to lose their Medicaid. Nobody wants to lose their Social Security. Like, all of your social safety nets are exceedingly popular policies, and everybody basically wants universal health care. The only people who don't are the rich ghouls who keep profiting off of everybody's slavery, because let's be real, that's what this is. And the people who've bought the cow and think that they're going to get milk from it, right? Like, AKA the people running around in fucking Cybertrucks, who think that that's the move to make right now. So we're very clearly seeing that the demographic is not what all of the online echo chambers would have you believe, because the moment you step off of the terminally online discourse, everything changes. And it's what I've been saying for a hot fucking minute,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Two different worlds that we live in simultaneously. This weird, fucked up online space, and also cool. I mean, it depends which places you carve out for yourself. You know what I mean? It really
it's
depends.
Drugs.
Yeah,
it can be good, it can be bad. It depends how you use it.
Depends how you.
I love drugs.
I noticed that actually today there was a young person with a take that I couldn't get behind, not even a little bit, and I realized that when I took a minute and I sat with what they were saying and why it was making me angry, and it wasn't because they were correct in anything that they were saying, and I don't want to give it too much attention, but what it was that exactly that it was in contradiction to what I actually see on the ground, to what I'm seeing, in practice, and I decided that I'm not going to engage that community anymore. If I want to engage a community online, it's going to be the communities that are not only online, but actually on the ground doing something, anything. I don't care what it is.
Mm-hmm. Because otherwise it's just critically online bipolar disorder. That's all that they display, right?
Right. And by the way, when I say like whatever it may be, I'm also talking about like people who maybe are housebound and can't really move, but they call their representatives or whatever. They have a family member bring letters or something, to those, whatever it may be. Those are the people that I'm more interested in having conversations with, because those are the people historically who get it done. So I just I'm very proud of myself for making that realization on my own, and kind of deciding that I get to decide where to put this energy at. My rage is sacred, as I've said before on here, and I get to choose how I wield it and who is worthy of feeling that fire. You know what I mean? And I don't think those people are worthy. Those people who just have chronically online, they're not worthy of that passion.
Also, real quick, I had a realization in a very similar vein with this, if that's okay, Scott.
Yeah, please.
I won't take too much time, but I had a realization with somebody I was talking to who's like an academic or considers themselves an academic. They're trying to convince me not to write my book on mysticism because they think it won't change society in any meaningful way. And the way that they argued with me was basically using a whole bunch of words and concepts that I didn't know or have points to be able to refute. And rather than trying to explain to me what they're talking about so that they could engage on a good, faithful level, what they wanted to do was use their vernacular and knowledge to shut me down and not give me an opportunity to respond. And I actually recognized this mid-conversation. And in my brain, I was just basically like, oh, nothing I say is actually going to matter to this person because they don't actually have the gears to understand what I'm saying, and they don't want to engage with it, so they only know to handle the rhetoric to shut stuff down. I'm not engaging with people like that anymore. I'm sorry. If you can't bring your super lofty ideas and explain it to the person who you're talking to in a way that they're going to understand it, all that you're doing is attempting them to cudgel them over the head into agreeing with you because you appear smarter. And I have no time for people like that, and I'm so fucking over that type of practice, because what it is it's just doom-pilled. They think that everything's fucked, and they have come to the position of nothing can be done because they couldn't do anything, and therefore they proselytize their own hopelessness. And I'm so fucking over people like this.
I feel bad for them. Like, and
Yeah.
because like I get it. Like, you got to be at a pretty dark place. You know, like you've been through some shit. You know, maybe you got screwed over a bunch in life, but you know, it's just
Well, why steal somebody else's hope?
Yeah, that's what it is. You know, like I'm it's like, man, I'm having empathy for you. Like I hear you. I get it. Like you're right. Like it does feel pretty damn hopeless, but then also like, but it's not. Like it may feel that way, but it's not. You know. And we've seen this, you know, over time and time again, you know, over the course of history. For me, like I kind of had a pessimistic view toward protesting and movements and stuff like that. I was like, what do they do? What do they do? And yet full well knowing the history of the civil rights movement, right? Like I know I'm fully 100% aware of everything that happened over the course of those years and all of the movements that happened and the change that it brought, and yet I still had this very sort of like, I don't know, what do they do? And then I started going to them, right? So like, instead of me just being a chronically online pessimistic son of a bitch, I decided, you know, once these it was like one of the first ones that popped up in Philly, like one of the first I think one of the ones that 50.
They have been protesting him since January 20th of 2024, basically.
Yeah,
Go Philly!
Yeah, like whatever that first one was, and we went, and I was like, oh, this is the vibe. I like this. And then, but I will say, yesterday's was different. It felt it didn't feel as performative, because initially there were a lot of grassroots groups trying to power grab for the we're the organizing organization. No, we're the top organization. It was a little bit like that within the organizing sphere. It seems to have leveled out, and everyone's just kind of working together and getting the job done, thankfully. But in the beginning, there was
activists.
Yeah, there was kind of weeding out the performance activists, you know. And I'm not saying like you can protest with the use of performance. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that were getting in the activism sphere to fuel either their own social standing or their own
or their personal
agenda.
image or their clout or any. If you're chasing activism for personal gain, fuck you. Seriously, fuck you.
Yeah. And those people were weeded out pretty early, because you could tell, like, if they didn't have the cult of personality surrounding them, they kind of just, you know, whatever. So, which is cool. So yeah, like we've grown up. Like I've watched this movement like grow up, you know, like over the course of 6 months, because yesterday the energy there was like, you could taste it. It was everywhere, but it was tense too, because it's kind of like, as one of my kindred, Garrett, put it, it was like, you know, did I feel empowered there, you know, at this protest? Yes. But did I feel free? No. I didn't feel 100% free, because we had helicopters over us. There was police everywhere. I'm pretty sure we may or may not have spotted a sniper on the top of a building at one point.
Y'all about to fight for your fucking liberation is what you're about to do. And the world is actually really proud of y'all, America. Just saying, as somebody who's watched from the outside a lot, we've all been able to show up for our own shit and protests. I can't tell you how many times we've overturned bills in Canada because we didn't fucking like them, or the Indigenous community showed up. And ain't nobody go harder in Canada than the Indigenous community. Shout out to y'all. But like, y'all did it. Y'all showed the fuck up. Y'all spoke the fuck up. I've always been saying that a lot of the problems that we have with activism is growing pains of people who aren't used to activism, who have to get used to the space. People are really starting to figure it the fuck out, and I'm proud of y'all. I'm glad that we have committed ourselves to patience and understanding, and knowing that this is a grassroots movement, and we don't have massive billions of dollars being pumped into us. All of this is coming right from here, from the heart, you know? And we see y'all, and we stand with y'all, and I'm telling y'all, our government may not officially say it, but a lot of Canadians I know would happily go to war to help free y'all from your own fucking oppressive regime, because that's what's up right now, and we see you, and we stand with you.
We appreciate it, and I know that that's true, because I saw a lot of Canadian people who were being really supportive online and social media. It was really cool actually to see the support. Also, Sophia, you'll be really proud of me. I started a chant
Oh yeah, you did.
during the protest.
Hell yeah! What was it?
It was really simple. It was just hey ho ho, Donald Trump has got to go. Simple. But I did it because there was very few conservative like pushback there, but there was a tiny little group who was there with their Trump flags, and one guy looked like a douchebag with his cowboy hat on, and I was like, girl, anyway.
There's no way to signal one's mental decline more than still continuing to be a Trump supporter in this climate.
The thing
I
that
saw them.
like half
me...
of them were people of color, which was even, like their little tiny group.
Yeah, that was so bizarre. It was that small group. I was like, what?
Pick-me's. Pick-me's always gonna pick me. There's always been pick-me's since the dawn of fucking time who appeal to the dominant societal
we need that on a shirt. Pick me's always gonna pick me.
they don't know anything else other than fucking submit to power and fawn. Like all literally, that's like, their personality.
Like a fucked up looking Pikmin or something like that. Like pick me is always gonna pick me.
When we were walking past them, because they were like on like the island in the middle of the street, and like I could tell like we were just quiet and no one was like chanting at this point. And I was like, nope, we have to chant while they're standing here, because they were starting to get like louder. I could notice they were like, oh, they're not saying anything, we could start talking. And I was like, nope. And I was like, and I started it, and I was so proud of myself.
I thought it was Rob at first, because I couldn't see your face because I was like kind of behind you. I thought it was Rob at first, and then I was like, oh no, that's not Rob.
Yeah, it was.
I heard. I was so proud of you, honey. Like that was because as soon as like I saw them, and I was like, oh boy, and I was like, I just don't want this to get ugly, obviously. But you were a prime example of what we should do, and I was like, yes, I was like,
I was just really surprised by myself. I'm really surprised I found the words. I'm like surprised they came out.
Nah, girl, I see the amulet you were wearing for that. You came prepared with the right energies.
Oh yeah, no, I was like, I covered that. I did so much magic the night before.
Let me guess, did you do some magic for it on a Tuesday ahead of time? Wink, wink.
I believe it or not, I didn't, but I trusted. I didn't. I didn't have the. No, I did it the night before, so I did it on was.
You probably did it in the hour then, not in the day.
I don't even remember. I just was like, you know what? I was like, it might not be as powerful, but like the planets are always there anywhere. Anyway.
To anybody who's ever done planetary magic, doing it on the wrong time is better than not doing it. Just saying.
Yeah, the planets are still there. And I ended up. So what I did was I did some Marcerian magic, obviously, and I reworked a spell that I used to protect my house. And I reworked it, but what I also did was I did this really powerful Homeric invocation to Mars, and I essentially placed a curse as a protection. It was not meant to be aggressive in the sense that like it wasn't going to attack anyone who wouldn't attack the protesters, but if they were to attack us, they would find themselves meeting very violent accidents and harm. And it was meant to like spread. So like it wouldn't just be them, it was meant to like keep going. Like the more you like if they got aggressive with people who weren't being aggressive, the curse would begin to spread. And then it was so funny because Darian was like, he's like, I hope you know you really did that. Like because Darian like started helping me. He got so curious about the magic I was doing. And he was helping me out, and he was like, "Wow!" I was like, "Thanks." But so that's
taking Wrath Month to the literal.
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna be.
Yeah, like during the main march, like the main protest, the permitted part of it, because that's the other thing I hate about these things. They're permitted events, and that's why like whatever. So anyway, so during the good part of the march, the cops were behaved. They didn't really seem to be bothering anyone. We also had someone we had a signal chat going. We had someone listening to police scanners and, giving us the heads up on certain kinds of stuff going on. And there were piles of bricks planted. There were suspicious looking people trying to start things.
Yeah.
And they were
You want to know what's the funnest thing you can do with those bricks instead of throwing them?
Build a
Pile them
house.
up in the street.
There's that, yeah.
It doesn't cause destruction, and it creates a fortification that impedes the traffic. Just saying.
Yeah. I was gonna say just construct I would construct them into like a little bench for someone to sit on,
What they did in China was absolutely diabolical. They glued down rebar to them to make a grid mesh network so the cops couldn't march or run through the area, and they created an area of denial device.
That's what's up.
Oh, that's really interesting.
But it wasn't a very militant experience. Like it felt like a march, like we were exercising our right to free
It was not a
speech and all that.
riot, it was a protest.
Yeah,
despite the
exactly.
media's constant attempt to display what's happening in LA as a riot. It's been a fucking peaceful protest that the cops kick off and people get fucking tired of getting shot in the fucking head by rubber bullets and respond reasonably so.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of this media that responds to the person getting punched and defending themselves and saying they're the aggressor. Fuck you. When the time comes, I'm dead ass serious. There's going to be Nuremberg trials for all these fucks, and everybody who was complicit in the media are going to be right up there at the top levels of punishment and be in fucking jail for it. All of y'all for the rest of your lives.
Probably Rachel
Who were the greatest enablers of this.
Rachel Maddow will be like the only one left with a job.
And independent media on YouTube, I'm telling y'all, when this is done, all those independent media moguls who, I don't want to use the word mogul, but all those independent media sources who've actually been covering this shit, they're going to be far more trusted and actually be pulled into the infrastructure of reporting because they were willing to go against the grain of the power structure to report truthfully to the accurate meaning of what it means to be a fucking reporter. And god damn it, I salute every single one of y'all out there, from Hassan Piker to even the ones I don't like because they cry wolf a lot, like fucking Midas Touch. Y'all need to stop the clickbait titles. But Hassan Piker, you getting the fucking attention you deserve. God damn, sir. Salute you.
But I keep thinking to myself, I'm like, I can't wait for the trials to start. And I keep joking, and I'm
what are we gonna call them? Nuremberg is taken. What are we gonna call the trials?
I'm hoping they keep up with. Exactly what I was about to say. I'm hoping they keep up with a name theme, and I'm hoping it's either in Harrisburg or Pittsburgh.
Oh my god, the Pittsburgh trials! Nuremberg. Oh, that's too good.
Right. I want the name.
Scott, you're a fucking genius.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm glad people
and then we can all throw them in the pit too, and we're done because everyone knows Pittsburgh, named after its gaping massive hole at the center of it.
Yes. I keep thinking about that.
Sorry, Pittsburgh.
I'm glad you like it.
Sorry, one last minute. I don't know if y'all play Fallout, but there's a DLC in Fallout 3 called The Pit, where you go to Pittsburgh, and it's just a smoking, burning hole of radiated mess. And everyone's like, and the memes are just like, go to Pittsburgh. About right. Nothing's changed.
I actually like Pittsburgh.
We love you, Pittsburgh.
Oh, no,
we love Pittsburgh.
Just an unfortunate.
We love Anthropod specifically.
Y'all just a big steel smelting city, and it's always going to be a big steel smelting city, you know?
Funnily enough, if you want to get into funeral services, like be a funeral director, Pittsburgh has one of the top schools for it. So that's your
I need some prestige with my funerary rights. I'll tell you that right now. Right. I need the prestigious funerary rights. I need a little hat that comes with it and everything. I need a fucking degree on my wall saying, this bitch does the best funerals.
I'm gonna make you a degree that says this bitch does the best.
Okay, real quick side note. I love catching. To jump to witch talk for a second. I love online witch reels because you can always spot the people who are like, "Hey, look at me! I wish I was somebody who knew what I was talking about." And then there's this other person who's like, "Let me show you this cord cutting ritual I did because it's fucking wild." And the cords like one of the ones falls over and it lights itself on fire and it turns into like this mess and it gets so hot it splits the fucking plate and it like does a Y split right down where he was, and her candle's just left completely fine standing with like no cracks through it, and she's like, "What's up?" And he's like burnt himself down and like split the fucking plate and everything, and I'm like, that's some real good tradcraft right there. Or like this other guy, he was doing like a baleful ward, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, yep, this is real tradcraft. Fucking homie's got his good sigils. He's fucking putting in his like herbs and shit. He's grinding it at the right moments. He's like lighting shit on fire, pouring shit on that fire. Like he done his research, you know? Like I love that shit. Mwah. Shout out to you all y'all tradcraft witches posting fucking like TikToks and Vines not a thing, videos about your craft. Actually show people what it fucking looks like when you do some tradcraft stuff. Honestly, I veer more into like the ceremonial magician at this point shit, because I'm over here like, you know, behind me, Raphael. That kind
we
of
could
shit.
do like we could find some like witch talk videos and do like a reaction episode.
Yeah.
Oh my god, you know what we gotta do? It like when we're to get our channel bigger, we gotta do some like cultivated videos that aren't live streamed, where all of us are like in a Discord and we sync up and watch a video and react to it all at once, or do like a share screen watch, and we watch like cultivated fucking witch talks.
I do kind of want to I kind of want to do something like that. Like,
but let's do it for like Patreon shit, because like we need to actually get some good content to do like Patreon shit.
Yeah, that's what because that would be a lot more planning and, you know, getting software and stuff involved. So yeah, like that could be like a Patreon.
After last episode, Jay and I spent an hour talking about like business plans for the podcast. There's shit to come up with.
Yeah, we were thinking about some cool ideas just to generate some more revenue. It's like, because this is also a me thing, and it's something that I have to work on magically, spiritually, energetically. And I've been reading this this blog called The Financial Witch, and she's all about unpacking your shame about money and capitalism and allowing your business to thrive. And I just really like what she writes. She's got a Substack, so I do encourage you guys to look her up. If you look up The Financial Witch on Substack, I'm sure you'll find her. She's just a real person. She's just like, you know, it's just her and her partner, and they got a kid, and they're living in Portland, and it's really fucking expensive, and, you know, life is hard.
Get these, burn them. This is not real money. This is fake. You get this shit, you burn it in ritual, and it comes to you. Why? Because the universe likes to give you what you give out. And if you're burning up money, they're like, oh, look, they don't even give a fuck about money. Let's give them a bunch of it.
Right.
Done.
But yeah, some of this is like, I want to do a lot with this podcast, but we're reaching a point where I'm going to have to start. Some things will be behind a paywall, and I am sorry, but also not sorry about it. It's we're gonna get to that point. The podcast itself will never be behind a paywall, and we agree. And we kind of came to the conclusion that like the Discord server, like the main channels that everyone's in, that's never gonna be behind a paywall.
It's never gonna be behind a paywall, and we don't want to like split the community or have people be separated out and stuff. But like, as far as extra content goes, like, y'all like this enough that y'all want us to continue doing it, and like times are getting hard out here, and I can not continue the rest of my life laboring and doing free podcasting on the side. I need to like actually network out and make some stuff, like the universe is demanding it.
And I think
like that's fine.
Yeah, and that's part of the growing pains of it. Like, some podcasts come right out the gate, like, this is monetized and this isn't and that is. And I don't know, we just took a different approach, maybe a little bit more organic kind of approach. But I think it works. It works. But yeah, so just to like, I think like if we do like classes and, you know, meets and watch this video, like that might be like Ko-fi subscriber tiers. More than
I like seminars more than classes, because classes are such a shitty commitment thing, because trying to get people to show up every week for something is ridiculous. And I ain't even doing psionics class anymore because people don't show up consistently. But seminars fuck, because people like showing up one time to listen to some stuff.
That's what I mean by a class. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't do like a series or anything like that.
I knew what you meant.
Yeah, like my own life is all over the place, and so I could commit to, hey, this is the day of the workshop or the seminar or the class. So yeah.
Also,
but yeah,
like,
just at this point, any extra labor-based stuff that requires our time, effort, labor, stuff like that, we'll have to charge for in some capacity.
And also, like, to perfect our crafts, we really do kind of need to make it our jobs, right? Like, you wouldn't expect a carpenter to be doing that on the side all the time. I would never charge for my services monetarily for, like, if somebody needs help with some magic and I do some shit to help them. I have vows where I can never charge for that. Ain't no vow saying I can't fucking make money off a podcast for fucking talking about this shit, giving other people free knowledge that they don't even have to pay for. Like, it's, I don't know, we definitely don't need to feel bad about monetizing side content or getting our personal shit in order, because it'll be better for everybody in the end. We'll be able to focus more on our craft. The episode qualities will go up. I won't be doing shitty labor just to pass the time. I will explicitly be doing podcasting and working in film as a PA, which is like how I want to live my life right now. And then after that, I'll eventually stop being a PA because you can only do physical labor for so fucking goddamn long, and I'm pushing 40. So
and so you gotta have a plan. And that's what I'm really hoping, like, with having a physical store. I'm really hoping I might hit 40 on that. I'm hoping that we'll have something concrete by then.
Real talk,
if not sooner.
all of us, we're going to be elders by the time we're 50. Not like elders in like a cultural sense, but like as in like a community sense. Because we've been practicing this already for like 20 fucking years. You add another 15 on top of it. That's a very venerated practice. You're writing books and like running community shit and organizing and pulling webs of people together at that point, like
I kind of
this is our life's purpose,
Yeah, and that's like where I've kind of been, is like, I've always been on this like, well, is what you do really, good for the world? Is it really worth it? Like, just have a real, like, I have that like get a real job, like kind of like, voice in my head, and that's just because
as if running your own business wasn't harder than just fucking going and doing labor for some jackass who already set everything up.
Right, exactly. So but I also kind of do that to myself. So I have a lot of thing like shame wrapped around money. Like I'm like, everything should be free because that's like, why should we have to charge for anything? And I'm like, well, dumbass, you live under capitalism and everything comes with a price, so you're gonna have to adjust. I might just let Rue set all the prices for everything. Also, Rue is an Earth sign, and usually Earth signs tend to be more money oriented.
Talking about the person having a dab live on it. Yeah, we'll just let them set the prices.
Yeah,
it's not that we're more money sensible. It's that we Earth signs tend to live really hard in reality. Like, for example, I can't tell you how often I rant about people who think that we can live in a society that just has bikes instead of cars, and it's like, so what's going to deliver all the stuff to all the stores?
Yeah,
and they're like,
there's
trains. I'm like, you got train infrastructure to run to every single fucking store in a city. You don't live in reality. You've never worked in shipping. You've never worked in logistics. You clearly fucking work from home or live so close to your work that you can bicycle there because you think that bicycles work for fucking everybody. Oh, what's that? Yeah, you don't live more than 10 kilometers away from your work? Fucking thought so. What's that? You don't have to work at 4 different locations during a day because you do fucking like property management or construction? Wow. Now you get why we have trucks. What's that? You get your groceries delivered to you? Doesn't that use a car? Wait. You take an Uber to get home? Doesn't that do, like, it's silly. You have to live in reality. Bikes are a great solution for the majority of people, but they can't work for everybody, and they won't work because somebody got to ship the shit and put it in the fucking stores, right?
But it would be so much better if everyone who could use a bike could. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
better
everyone who wanted to could.
If we had publicly subsidized transit that didn't cost anything and was therefore appealing to the masses to take, and it wasn't constantly held up in construction.
Had room for your bikes on the train. Should be room for bikes.
Canada
on
does,
trains.
but Canada does. Actually, we even have room on the front of our buses to attach bikes to buses.
We have that.
We have that on the buses, but on the trains.
But our
people in Canada take their bikes on trains all the fucking time.
Trains.
Yeah.
You just kind of like have to it's like this awkward situation. I mean, I've never had to because I don't know how to ride a bike. I know, whatever. But like
Okay.
every time someone brings a bike onto the subway, it's a very like awkward, like sorry, and everyone's like trying to like get out of the way.
You also didn't know how to deadlift 150 pounds, but by God, you can do a lot more than that now, I'm sure.
That's true. Not too much. 100 and
Yeah, straight up, anybody who says that it's
85.
just like riding a bike again, I
Good
forgot
job.
how
That's
to ride
hard.
a bike.
I can't deadlift, but I can do standing hoist up to 300 pounds, which is bonkers.
That is crazy. That is crazy. That's
I
a lot.
I have a lot of core strength. It doesn't look like it, but a lot of my muscles in here and in here, so I can support a copious amount of weight on my upper body, which it's from labor working. What were you gonna say, Jay?
I was just gonna direct my attention over to the chat. We have a couple people here. I saw 6 at the peak. Looks like 4 right now. So we have
And then even
Sage.
in me.
Yes. We have Sage, Kai, Rat, and Brian and Dawn. Yep.
Hi, we love y'all.
So thank you all for being here. Kai was saying, I held my own protest concert in the middle of my pasture on Friday, and the same plane flew over me, getting lower on each pass like 4 times. And then I foraged. It was beautiful. Well, that does sound beautiful. That is
hell yeah.
That's a wonderful way to protest.
That is.
Because we were in, I think for this one, because we were in Philly, and Philly was supposed to be the anchor point of all the No King stuff. It was one of those things that I was like,
We were the
have
largest
to go.
by far.
Yeah, I was like, we have to go. No, we weren't the largest in terms of turnout. I think like
We weren't?
no, I think like other places had like 100K, 200K. Like I think New York had like 100K. Yeah, they have more population. So
New York's massive.
Yeah. And I think most of the what we were hearing and seeing is most of the people at the Philly protests were from the Philly area. I don't think many people from the DC area came up. I think either they stayed or I'm not sure. Or maybe they went to ones maybe further south. I'm not sure, but Philly's number last I heard was around 80K, which is kind of what they were expecting to turn out. So I heard we hit 80K turnout. And Dawn was saying it's good to see the folks of the states actually showing up in a real way. I agree. I like that we're not waiting until actual tanks are rolling down the street in a non-performative way. You know, I'm glad we haven't waited until then to be like, hey, whoa, this is not what I wanted.
Hey.
This isn't good.
Oh, right. Have y'all heard of the stripper index?
No, but now I want to know everything about it.
It's a lot scarier than you might think.
Oh, no.
So, the key behind the stripper index is the idea that strippers are always getting money from dudes on Wall Street because they have a lot of money to blow, and they often will be spending it on strippers and sex workers.
Okay.
So, when a giant economic crash is about to happen, strippers are the first people to know. They get about 2 weeks heads up because the guys who are the financial market dudes come in doing all their blows, spending money on girls, and they'll say really paranoid shit like, there's a big crash coming, you gotta go buy gold, buy silver, put it all in it, like, and they're freaking out because their entire world is like money, right? This actually happened recently. I was watching a story about it, and like this stripper went up to her manager to tell him about it, and he's like, look, these guys are freaked out because that is their world. Money is everything to them, and it's collapsing. And they're afraid because they're going to lose what they put everything into. But we don't live our lives like that. It doesn't run our world, and we're going to be just fine. And I'm like, damn, this man's fucking wise. But it's true. And apparently the strippers are ringing the alarm bell right now about the stripper index, y'all. So 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
2 weeks as of 3 days ago.
2 weeks,
Wednesday.
The market's gonna crash.
Yeah, apparently there's going to be a fucking massive market meltdown, according to the strippers, in about a week and a half.
I believe the strippers.
That's basically right around Pride Week, like the height of Pride Week, which is like the last week of June. It's like the Wednesday, essentially. I think it's like the
I'm going to be.
I'm guessing
that's going to be a transformative time for me. Then I'm going to be on a spiritual retreat that week.
Man, as above. 25th. Actually, my gut was correct.
Yeah, the
as above, so
23rd.
below. Jay's doing that internal purification shadow work on a fucking retreat and fucking
Yeah, I'm going
the
to.
stock
Meanwhile, I'm
market's
going to be at
melting down.
work, and the world's going to be collapsing.
Yay! Oh boy.
God damn.
Yeah, I'm gonna be on a Brocry retreat, learning all about folk healing and stuff like that.
Hell
so yeah, and then
yeah.
the whole market's gonna crash. I mean, it'll be fine though, because we're packing our own lunches, so it's fine. You know, for our little excursions and stuff, we're already prepared. Okay.
Fuck.
You know what's the first thing I'm buying if the market shows signs of melting down? A recurve bow with a 50-pound draw.
Seriously.
I'm dead ass. I can kill anything with a fucking 50-pound draw. You can take out bears with a 50-pound draw. You just wouldn't necessarily want to do a polar bear.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Thankfully, there's not many of those around here. So.
Do you know what you can do with the 50-pound archery?
Roller bears.
A lot.
Just, I'm gonna throw this out there in case we do hit like recession core. You know, do y'all want to know what you can do with a longbow? Just a recurve longbow. That shit will penetrate. Okay, so we switched to guns for the ease of use, and in combat, there's what's known as a follow-up shot. So you take your first shot at an opponent, and your follow-up shot is the shot that comes after, right? The amount of time it takes to do a follow-up shot on a bow is exceptionally low because you have to draw a nook. You have to like pull it out of your quiver, nook it onto your bow by looking down off of your opponent. You have to draw it back, aim it, and release it, right? It's a whole fucking process to do a follow-up shot with a bow, whereas it's not with a gun that automatically loads a round into the chamber next. That said, arrows do not give away where the target came from, and arrows in all modern iterations of compound bows are capable of piercing every single armor system that we have on infantry to this day. Nothing could withstand a compound bow shot.
Really?
Because all of our projectile, yes. So the way the body armor works is
like your standard Kevlar vest.
Kevlar is the weakest, actually. So there's multiple different types of trauma plating systems. Kevlar is basically a mesh weave that uses force dispersal to stop the round from penetrating and mushrooming it out. An arrow won't even have an issue with Kevlar because it just cuts it. It literally would just cut it. And it's so heavy and there's so much weight behind it, it can physically shatter and penetrate a trauma plate. The only thing that even comes close to stopping an arrow is a ceramic plate at the right angle where it can glance it off.
Yeah, because an arrow is just a missile. It's a manual missile that you just, you know,
and you have to think about it this way. How big is a bullet? Not very big. All of the force behind a bullet comes from its muzzle velocity and all of the force behind it and the small size of the projectile being able to penetrate something because it's smaller. But an arrow is what's known as a rigid projectile, so it has the entire shaft to carry itself through. So arrows can still take out LRADs, arrows can still launch Molotovs, arrows can still do anything that they ever did from the beginning of time. You just need to know how to shoot them.
It's an oldie but a goodie.
Can I tell you really quick? If you need to shoot an arrow in emergency, here's your rule of thumb. See what I'm doing here? Thumb to your eye. When you draw, you nook and you pull back, and you want to keep this part of your thumb right here to the ridge of your cheekbone. And you hold with these 3 fingers here, and you release like that all at once. And what that does is it lets you hold proper form. You have to stand sideways to do this, and it lets you cast your eye straight down the arrow. I'm telling y'all, practice that technique and you'll be hitting a fucking 2-centimeter target like your goddamn Robin Hood.
There's an archery
especially
place,
you, Scott,
around the corner
because
from me. I really should go.
One last fun fact. Archery is not dexterity, it's strength-based because most of your accuracy comes from having a good form and poise. So, Scott, you would be an incredible archer at this point. You could fucking hammer back a 75-pound draw and absolutely nuke something.
I would just like archery just for like, because it's also really good for focus. Like on a practical level, it's like really helps you learn to like.
Honestly,
it is Zen in the art.
It's very, keeps you
centered, balanced.
Centered. You have to stay focused, and that's something that I always need help with. But no, yeah, I would love to do archery. We were talking. Me and Joe were talking about the place over by him, not that long ago. Mention him.
I think you can.
I'm telling y'all.
I don't know if you can rent equipment there though. I think you might have to have your own. So I'll have to look into it.
It depends. There's 2 types of archery places. One that you go to have the equipment that's pre-provided for you, and one that expects you to have your own, but sometimes has stuff to compensate. Also, if you're like ADHD or autistic, the amount of chances that you're actually going to enjoy archery more than your average person is like through the fucking roof, and I don't know why. But every autistic person I know I take to an archery range is a casual fucking monster and can smoke a target the size of an eye, like physically the size of an eye.
Probably because
I don't know what it is.
I believe it.
Probably because the few moments that the brain is quiet, it can just focus on the thing. You know, the zen of the task. Because I used to have like toy ones as a kid. My parents wouldn't ever let me have toy guns. They were really, my mom in particular was really against guns. Even water guns, like little water pistols. She was like, nope, no guns. If it's a gun, you ain't having it. So I was like, what about bow and arrow? That's pretty cool, right? She's like, fine, whatever. So I would get like little ones, you know, with like the little suction cup ends, and you know, I'd shoot them all over the house. And we did have a like a decent sized yard for being in the city, and we would shoot them at the fence and stuff. But one of the best experiences I had, I was 10 years old camping with my dad, and I found this stick. I was like, I think this stick would shoot like in my toy bow. I think it would work. And he was like, yeah, I think so too. Yeah. So like we kind of like whittled it a bit, and kind of formed it, and I shot it, and that was the most. It was like a really magical experience. It was just like
that's peak childhood.
Wow, like I did that, and it shot better than the plastic toy ones that I was shooting. So yeah, that was a good moment, good memory.
I think we gave
core memory unlocked.
Yeah.
I think we gave my father back his compound bow, but we did have one.
He using it
when he when he goes over to the other side.
Oh yeah, you can write all
enough.
You'll get all your
also, if I
gear.
may, compound is better for hunting. Recurve is better for practicing and for combat. And let me explain why. A recurve is meant to be drawn like this. You pull it back to the point of peak, and then you release it relatively short. You're not supposed to hold them fully strung for a long time. If you've shot a compound, once you pull the compound back, it'll lock into its draw position. And they're meant to be held for an exceptionally long period of time. You could hold a compound bow for 20 fucking minutes and your arms may not get numb because of how it holds into the lock. But when you release it past that point, that arrow is flying way fucking harder than a 50-pound from a recurve can, just because the amount of kinetic energy behind the reels.
Okay.
Yeah. And some places don't like you shooting compound bows at their targets because compound bows are basically, hi, I would like to annihilate the target using pure science.
Yeah, the loss of stuff. I don't know. What are you shooting? Like maybe hay bales or something with that?
Usually, actually, yes. Tightened down, packed hay bales that are sideways with targets painted on them. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. Or like condensed foam.
Cheap to produce.
I've even seen stuff similar to mattresses that like reseal themselves when you like pull the arrow out, and they use like a projection wall of light to send targets along. Like we were doing that at an archery range out here. It was so much fun.
Archery is less waste product, and I'm not trying to shit on people that shoot guns and go to the range and stuff like that. Like, you do your thing. It's an important skill to learn. They're good tools, this, that, and the third. But shooting guns produces a lot more waste. You know, those bullets, you know, like, and then all the manufacturing that goes into it. You know, it's just like
I would argue you can technically like recycle a lot of casings.
Yes.
Can you? Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Yes, all casings can be repressed and reinserted with a primer and then used to fire again. It's called reloading.
I didn't know that then.
They're also really good for folk magic.
Yes, they are. I have a couple. I usually, if someone I know goes to a range, I'm like, save me a couple. Thank you.
Also, here's a funny catch-22. Did you know that compound bows can be exceptionally wasteful?
Really?
Really?
They're so powerful, they can overshoot targets and bury the arrows in the ground to the point where you'll never recover them. I've watched somebody kill a deer with one. Actually, it was a crossbow, this one. He threw it through the sides, and the bolt drove itself into the ground. And I'm like, are you going to get the bolt? And he's like, it's fucking gone. It's buried itself. You're never going to find it.
And it like dig it out kind of thing.
A lot of these people, when they do a kill shot, the arrow is just fucking gone somewhere because it's so powerful. Unless you're shooting like a bear, it will through and through and just bury into the fucking ground. Yes.
If you shot a deer, would it just go through the deer?
Yes, 100%.
Oh yeah.
Unless you did it right in the torso at the front of the chest and it had the length of the torso to go down, which is a very bad kill shot. Actually, might be a good kill shot. I don't know. I'm not a deer hunter. Your arrow will through and through every single target if it's a compound bow over a certain draw strength. Yes, unless it's like a bear.
Missiles.
Yep.
Literally missiles.
Fucking supersonic missiles that maybe not supersonic because they break the sound barrier, but
I always love that story of Jennifer Lawrence when she was doing the Hunger Games. Like, she trained a lot in archery, you know, like for the character and for her scenes and stuff, and someone was like in her fucking house and she had the bow in her car and she's like going into her house with the bow. Oh man, I always think about that.
Fucking right.
Yeah,
that's cool.
I hope she still has. I hope she still does archery. You know what I mean? I hope no one wants to fuck with her because she's like, I will take you out.
Archery is one of those things that once you do it, you typically either hate it and don't ever do it again, or if you get good at it, you love it because there's nothing like being able to pick up a bow and just go after not shooting it for 12 years and hit a fucking 2-centimeter target. You feel like that literally happened to me. I hadn't shot a bow in over 12 fucking years and I smoked a 2-centimeter target and I was like,
it kind of feels
I guess
like
I'm good
that
at this.
With fishing too. Like, I don't fish often, but when I get to, I usually have good luck. Like, I cast, you know, I'm able to get, like, it's nice to be able to like do that kind of skill. It's very human. It's just a very
and people who ain't good at
feeling.
fishing don't like to fish. People like me who suck at fishing and never catch fish, we hate fishing because it's like fuck
Right.
These fish picking me, not to fucking bite my little shits.
Which is probably why you might be more of a hunter than a fish. Yeah.
One of my favorite things about like archery specifically, though, I always loved all the different the arrow tips. There's really fancy ones, especially for like hunting.
Yes.
With my father's compound bow, there's this one, pretty vicious but really fascinating. So it had an arrowhead, like a pointed, you know, sharp point, but
broadhead.
What happened is it has two like thin razor blades, like that kind of like move, and they're designed to like make sure what you hit is like really injured, if not fully dead. So like these little blades, like they were on like a little swivelly thingy, like a little ding 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 ding. They move.
Twist.
Yep. And so as it's flying, as the arrow's kind of doing one of these motions, and it goes in, it's cutting up everything else as it goes.
The idea is to lacerate so much it bleeds out.
Yeah, it's brutal, but they're really interesting. And like, there's other ones, like even just historical, like points. Like there's the basket ones, which are the ones that like in medieval times during like Robin Hood type era. That's how they would like set things on fire. It wasn't used for like hitting people. It was used to like set wood and other things on fire. It was cool. Like there's so many interesting
torch heads.
It's like fishing lures, like archery and fishing are kind of like similar.
You wouldn't believe what works as well. Dynamite. I know it sounds insane. What you can actually do is have a dynamite arrowhead, and it's best to fire this shit from a compound. And you can have somebody light the fuse for you. And you can shoot a fucking dynamite arrow. And if the arrow catching on the bow is a problem, you can attach the arrow to a string which has the dynamite at the bottom, which then trails it behind it. So you can shoot and physically step away as it coils off and takes it.
Wow. Have you tried this before? Is this personal experience or is this stuff you've seen on YouTube? You're muted.
No, but I play video games, and so when you grow up in like the rural areas, you develop a skill known as hobo engineering or vagabond engineering, which is basically what can I do with the stuff that I have in front of me, right? Mm-hmm. So pretty quick you learn, hey, I could take that arrow, tie some rags around it, dip the rags in gasoline, and fucking light it on fire and shoot it, and I'll have a flaming arrow. That's simple. Mm-hmm. Right? Or the kid who finds a lawnmower blade and heats it up and hammers it out flat and grinds it down and turns it into a fucking machete. Like, it's a real fucking thing. Or like one of my friends from my hometown, please don't put me on a watch list for talking about this. His dad had a whole thing because his stepdad would do reloading with like bullets, like we are just talking about with a reloading bench.
Like repacking.
And so he had a whole thing of gunpowder. So Bryce would steal the gunpowder. We'd take Sobe bottle caps, rip Sobe. I want my my strawberry lizard milk back.
Yes.
He'd take 2 Sobe lids, drill a hole in them, fill them with gunpowder, insert a wick, light that shit, and make his own premium grade M60 firecrackers. Dude was a menace. I don't know why that would put me on a watch list. He was the one doing it, but
yeah.
that was 90s living in rural towns. Is you lit shit on fire, you blew shit up. Like, this is the peak, most stupid small town story I have. One of my friends' brothers, well, former friends' brothers, lit the fucking river on fire to get him out of the river, okay? He was swimming, and he wouldn't get out of the river. Lyric was swimming, and Brandon wanted him out, and he was telling him to get out. So Brandon, being that shithead kid who had the chemistry set, knew a lot about random little bits of science. So he got a jerry can from the barn, pours it into the river because he knows that it'll float on the top, and lights it on fire to get his brother out of the fucking river. He was 8 years old. Who does that?
8?
That's insane.
He was 8 years old.
Like 8 to 10. They were that fucking old. I think Lyric was 8, so Brandon would have been 10. Insane. That's hilarious. Think about being 10 years old and lighting the river on fire. Sorry.
No, in all fairness, like, I could 100% believe that story. Growing up with stories of like old Appalachia, like it's just what you do in those communities.
That's
like, it's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's you know, bizarre, maybe a little bizarre to us city folk, but that's how it is. Like in more rural farming, in my family situation was farming, but
like...
still very rural, you know, like
farming is rural as fuck, and you don't have to be like away from a small city of like 3,000 people or 10,000 people to be like true rural. There's no such thing as true rural. There's always more rural. You could be living out in the fucking hollers, and that could be more rural, you know?
Rural, right. Exactly. So yeah, no, it's just the way it was. By the way, I don't mean to change the subject so harshly. I just want to make sure that I say this so I don't forget. For everyone interested, there are 2 free law stay away and justice classes that you can go to. They're completely free. One is Bane X Bramble on Instagram. The link they still have the class up, Bane X Bramble. And the other one is from Spiritus Arcanum. Both of them did free like law stay away and that kind of work classes. So that way you could be using your magic. If maybe that kind of magic isn't something you're used to, which is totally fine, but they're gonna they gave these classes to help you. They gave you resources and tools to use, herbs and whatnot, prayers and spells to use in order to help fight back against fascism and you know, police overreach and these things. So I just wanted to make sure. Again, it was Bane X Bramble and Spiritus Arcanum. There is a third one that I will try to. I actually know the person, but I don't know. I didn't watch or take watch the class really because, like I said, they're free to watch. But I only did the Bane X Bramble and Spiritus Arcanum, and they're great. I'll look into the other one, and I'll let you know if I can find it, and if it's free, I'll figure that out. But 2 are free. Take those courses. They're like an hour long, I think.
Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, free
we love free knowledge.
Yeah.
Speaking of free knowledge and free courses, y'all, well, I don't mind a topic change at all. I absolutely love free online esoteric audiobooks. Like, I listened to the entirety of Hermetica on YouTube, which I've shown in front of the camera multiple times. I can go grab it, but it's a book that compiles the Corpus Hermeticum and Asclepius, the translations of those texts that come from Egypt and from Greece. Oh, loved it. I literally got to do labor while listening to fucking Esoterica. And then I listened to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, which, like, Just so y'all know, that one is super controversial because it was written in the 40s, and a lot of people believe that it's total bullshit. But then there's like stuff in it that's also been like really verified by a lot of other people that know Hermeticism. So it's one of those take it with a grain of salt, but don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If it's useful information in there, definitely go ahead and read that shit, but don't necessarily buy the whole everything to do with it, because there's like a lot of big claims in it too, that where they'll be like, I escaped Atlantis on a spaceship, and that spaceship is buried under the Sphinx. Could be true. Could be bullshit. We don't know. I'm getting massive deja vu right now, which is weird. But yeah, read Esoterica online or have Esoterica audiobooks read to you. But the caveat too is that Hermetic knowledge in these books, they're not super long, right? So like, let's say you're going through a book like the Bible. That bit you need to go through at a certain level of juggernaut pace, or you're never going to get through it because it's like fucking 82 hours, right? But if you're going through an esoteric text, that book is like 4 hours straight read. They're not meant to be read cover to cover like a story. They're really meant for you to like read apart and really fucking ponder on it if you don't grok it immediately. Yeah, read a Hermetic text
I'll
slower.
Have to try an audiobook of an esoteric book, because I'm normally not. I don't know. I can't listen to an audiobook like while I'm working. I can't listen to other people talk.
It depends on the type of work that you do. Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
No, we were making the same point actually. Like Jay's work is very, very like numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm not a person who can. Some people can kind of split that concentration, like they can take in what they're listening to while still working numbers. I mean, as a undiagnosed dyscalculic, I already have a hard time with numbers as it is. But I know just in general, though, I have to have like silence to take in anything, even stuff I'm good at, just so that way I can't split my attention like that.
Yeah, if
so,
I do music,
totally, I agree
it's
with,
usually instrumental. It's like wordless, music.
And
or I could do like chanting, kind of. That's probably as much.
Because your work requires you to think actively to do your work, whereas I often will do labor jobs. So like, if I'm on a film set, I can't listen to anything. I have to be super plugged in. But if I'm like, say, doing a film set watch job where I'm there to watch equipment over the weekend, you bet your ass I'm getting 12 hours of like audiobooks and like listening in, or even fucking reading, depending on the type of job, right? Like sometimes I'm just there. If it was like studio watch, you're there to open and close and like sweep up at certain intervals, which like leaves you a lot of time when you're doing nothing when the trades are taking stuff down, right? So I fucking educate myself whenever I'm in those days, right? Like there's no wasted time. If I'm doing just a labor shift, like you get called for that all the time in film. Let's say we're just doing a day and it's just me out in the field doing track mat. Yeah, you bet your ass I might pop on a fucking audiobook while I'm doing it, right? Because why not? Right? I don't have to actively think, where does this plate of plastic go to protect the trucks? I know we're making a path. You keep doing what you're doing, right? It's like gardening, right? You don't have to actively really think about it. It's instinctual and intrinsic. That's a lot of the type of work that I do. So there's a lot of situations where I can listen to esoterica or audiobooks and really educate myself while I'm doing it. But then when I get into the really mentally intensive stuff, which is PAing when I'm on a film set, never. I can literally never do that. Because if I have downtime, I have to be like checking garbages, I have to be moving around, I have to be like reading the call sheet to know where we're at, checking our blocks, checking my like daily requirements. That's a thinking job. I can't fucking do that there. So like it just depends, right?
Yeah. That's like I wish that I had a day job that let me kind of because there's also a lot of podcasts. Like I'm in the podcast sphere. I also like to listen to other podcasts, and I wish I could while I was working.
Soon you will, because your job is going to become that shop eventually.
Yeah, it is. I know it is, because I'll be able to do this forever. That's for damn sure.
You have to go where your heart and the universe is pushing you. And this is a big lesson I've learned, if we want to dovetail into some magical discussion. I've said many times on the podcast, when you know better, you have to do better. But I really want to kind of get into that, right? Like, when the universe wants you to be doing something, it'll really let you know, right? And when you're learning, like what I've found, when you really get into learning magic, you get to a certain point where the universe wants you to stop solving your problems without magic. They want you to really pick it up and learn how to cast to fix your problems. And I've gotten to a certain point at times where you're at an absolute impasse until you do magic and then the thing gets fixed. And it's like the universe saying, there you go. You're starting to realize that because you know that everything works on mental operations that are often unseen to people who are not practicing the occult arts. Once you know those unseen operations are happening, you almost have to use them because you start getting regular pathways denied to you because you have this special access. They're like trying to teach you how to walk in the different lane because you get the express lane and you're wasting your time queuing up behind everybody else because that's not what you're here to do. And it pulls you away from your fate or your destiny because anybody who's doing magic is doing magic for a reason. Unless you're one of those people who came to it for self-gain, which, like, GG rip.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say I have not come to magic. Wasn't really about self-gain. I think it was more about finding community. I think is really why I came into it, because I really loved the idea.
Self-empowerment.
That was it for you, yeah, like self-empowerment. But which
For
is
me,
different
it was
from like power, though. You know what I mean? Because like self-empowerment is like, I already lack confidence in me, so I need something to put confidence in. And that was magic. Versus some people come to magic like, I have all the confidence in me, and now I just want power. It's like, whoa,
yeah.
no. Like, hold your horses.
I got into magic because it was the only thing that explained reality as I was experiencing it, because everything was so strange to begin with, you know. I had a pretty messed up childhood, so I had a psychic awakening pretty early. Like, that's what happens when you almost die at 5 years old.
Yeah,
so my life is very
like
weird.
That. Yeah.
Pardon?
I said when you have experiences like that, they're very impactful and they change the way your mind works and how you operate.
So
sometimes
Catholic Church
things.
just and I was raised in the Catholic Church, Roman Catholic, but it just never worked for me. And in the end, I left not because I like the teachings of Christ were wrong, because like Jesus is a baller. I've said it 100 times. But fuck the church.
That's
but
literally how I feel. So I downloaded a version of the Bible on my Kindle that I have been meaning to read. I think it's the one that you were talking about, Scott. It's like the contemporary something version. I don't know, it's like written more in like plain English Bible instead of all the esoteric shit. So I picked it up because I wanted to read through and be like, all right, what were the actual teachings of Jesus? What did he actually, fucking say? Because that's why I wanted to kind of read through it, because what I need to do, I have my own Christian bias that I really have to deal with. It's been better over the years. I've grown a lot. But especially now that I'm really dipping myself back into I'm gonna say dipping, immersing myself back into the world of folk magic. I have to be more comfortable with it because I have to understand that Christianity, it's been around for a long time. Yes, our pagan faiths came before then and they were, stamped out and then assimilated into this Christian sphere, but I have to understand where people are coming from, right? A lot of people are Christian, a lot of people go by the teachings of Jesus, and so I need to have a better understanding of that. And I think there's a lot of us that aren't willing to deal with our Christian bias that we have, and I get
trauma.
it. Yeah, because of our trauma, and I get it, but it's like that's the true healing part from it, is when you go past the trauma and then you look back at the core of it and you say, okay, because you can't be like, I accept all religions except that one. It's like, well, no, that's not how it works. You can't do that. And I realized I was being a little bit like that over the years. I had this, sort of, we talk about like our queer elitism, like that we get into. So I had a little bit of that about being pagan, being an occultist, being in the magical sphere. I had a little bit of that to myself, and I was like, that's not a good look. Not good to have. And so,
and like real talk, Real Christians are wonderful people. Not the ones who fake that shit, but the ones who actually do the shit. I fucking love them, and I would fucking stand side by side on them for anything, because they're all about feeding the poor and like fuck the rich and like standing by your fellow man. Like, God bless all y'all. Unironically.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, so I think some of us could do, and that's what we mean by shadow work, right? You identify a thing about yourself, and you're like, I could improve. It could be better, and then you improve.
Yep.
Exactly.
And as you integrate your shadow, you grow, right? Just remember, the tree that reaches up it to the heavens for its branches must have its roots descend down to hell. What that means is you're not going to suffer the more that you awaken, but for you to grow higher, you must reach your roots lower and deeper into your shadow and integrate all of it, because when you do, you can climb to your highest heights. The roots come first.
Mm-hmm.
Scott, we lost you. Your camera.
Here.
So, I'm sorry. Yeah, no. Darian has to get ready for something. He has a doctor's appointment, so I'm letting him.
Hey, okay,
ready.
pal.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
I think we could kind of wrap up here for today. We've been going on for an hour, like 10 minutes over an hour.
Shit, really?
Yeah. Time flies when you have. This was a good episode. I really enjoyed this talk. I feel like real magic is happening. You know, not to say it wasn't before, but yeah. What'd you say, Scott?
Oh, you dropped. Oh, sorry about that. I was going to say that I want to make sure that my for wrapping up thoughts, because I will forget. I want to make sure that everyone listening is remembering that magic is a tool that we can use in like exactly what Sophia was saying as well, about using it every day to day, but also using it as resistance, using it to protect, defend your neighbors, yourself, your home, making sure that our lives are just a little bit easier to come by, a better financial situation, a better economic situation. You can use magic for these things, right? Just to make sure that we're all kind of remembering that this is when you took your vows, your oaths, your initiations, etc. This is sort of the maybe spoken, maybe unspoken part of those things, and we have an obligation, as those of us who work magic, to be active in these situations, I think.
I agree.
Well,
and
any other concluding thoughts?
Yeah, and just to pull off what Scott's saying, it really does make a difference. Like, there was a forest fire that was happening last summer that was raging until I got together with my friend who also does a lot of storm magic and is tied to the element of wind, and I'm tied to the element of water. And whenever we get together to do storm magic, crazy shit happens. And I was like, we're gonna put this forest fire out. And he's like, yeah, you're right. And I had a whole speech to him. I'm like, we got to use our powers more, dude. Like, the world's on fire, and we can literally put it out. What are we fucking doing, sitting on it, right? And so then we sent some intent to Jasper, and sure as shit, huge rains fell on it and shit, right? We're not going to take credit for putting it out, but we sure fucking helped. And that's a big thing I want to say, is that your thought and your intent ripples out. Even if your choice is inaction, that ripples out. You want to be doing something, even if it's just consciously breathing and sending energy to other people. Because remember, we all share the same air. You have breathed the same air that every other human on the planet has breathed through the whole air cycle system, right? Every human who's ever lived has been breathing this air. Same with all the plants. We're all together. What happens when you don't have breath in your lungs? You literally black out. You can't even perceive. We are also largely our breath, right? I just want to remind everybody, all the air is all one. We are all one. We're in this together. Keep your thoughts and intentions strong. Don't shy away from conflict or stuff that's hard out of fear or trying to avoid negativity, because trying to avoid negativity is a fear response. confronting negativity, confronting evil, confronting people doing harm is some of the highest energy that you can bring, believe it or not. But you have to do it in a good way. You can't do it in a destructive way. You have to be careful about it. And sometimes you do have to be destructive. It requires a lot of discretion, and you learn as you do it more, but be an active participant in changing the world for the better, because we all make a fucking difference, and it's massive. Whether you believe it or not, the difference you make is massive.
So with that, I think I'll just plug our Ko-fi real quick. We've got a cool tier on there. It's the Hail Satan tier, $6.66 a month. You can hail whatever you want on the podcast. Think one of our subscribers of that tier, our only subscriber of that tier currently, just wants us to remember the people of Palestine, free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine.
Free Palestine. And with that, we are going to sign off here, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Peace.